Hello ladies and gentlemen, it is currently Wednesday, July 18th, 2012, and this is Day 9 Daily number 481, where we learn to be a better gamer and admire my haircut. I am now an aerodynamic nerd. I can run at high velocities at lower resistances of air. Yeah, thereby defining what aerodynamic means. Ha! I feel swift. I can do this and there's no problem at all, save for the dizziness I'm experiencing right now. Whew! I am quite excited for today's Protoss versus Zerg topic. We'll be looking at it from the Protoss point of view. Next week, we're going to be doing quite a bit of Zerg things. Obviously, the Fun Day Monday, the closest games of all time. We're going to be doing a Leak Finder on Newbie Tuesday. And, of course, some Zerg dailies on Wednesday and Thursday. But today, what we're going to be focusing on is a delightful Protoss vs. Zerg style from CreatorPrime, where we're going to see literally no Colossi used. So throughout the daily, we're going to try to be framing why it's so interesting in the context of what most Protosses normally do. I'll also be trying to make myself say a little bit more numbers in here. It's easy to say things like a lot of gateways, like we took a third, so we need to add on a lot more gateways. When the specifics would be like, we're taking an expansion, now we're going to add on 4 more gateways. I've been intentionally leaving out numbers in a lot of the recent dailies just to make it, you know, more clear. The concept of adding on way more gateways than seems reasonable on a third base is more important than the exact number that you add on and that kind of thing. But we're going to try to do a little bit more numberage today, so that way we can see particularly what is so incredible about his style. In other exciting news, these glasses will not ever unfog, ever, no matter whatever. And also, in unrelated news, in the week starting on the 29th, on the Sunday, I'm going to be out for a few days because I'm having surgery on my mouth. The legendary Day 9 chipped tooth, you see it? Ah, there it is, a chipped tooth right there. It is degrading, and I will soon not have a tooth, as in it will fall out and disintegrate, along with the one next to it, apparently. So, have to get that fixed. So there's this is a drill, by the way. Doesn't look like it, but it is. It's going to be happening in my face at that point. So I'll just keep you updated. I don't know how long I'll be out, or how much, if I'll have like my face packed with ice, and I'll be like, and there's drool pouring down. I'm sure you'd like that anyways. People will be like, I'll subscribe. Of course, the most noteworthy bit of news is that I will be departing tomorrow to the MLG Summer Arena, where I will be casting that StarCraft. Whew. Also, in the coming weekends, I'm going to be doing a lot of casting for the Team Liquid Star League. Everyone's favorite community site of all time. I feel like there's one more thing that I'm forgetting, but you know what? Forgetting things rules! And so does CreatorPrime's Protoss vs. Zerg. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lay down the general basic structure of what Zergy buddies do, and as a result, how the Protoss buddies respond. A classic, let's begin this entire daily by assuming that the Protoss early expands. This is a reasonable assumption because you, the Protoss, after watching this daily, will be wanting to early expand. So we're only in that situation where Protosses early expand. In that spot, Zergs tend to take a fast 3 base, and then Zergs proceed to a mid-game that relies largely on Zerglings and Roaches, because these are the most cheap, fast-building units. They use those to both defend attacks, to put pressure back on the Protoss, and then they step up to Infestors, step up to Hive, and get the Broodlords. This is the classic structure. Certainly there are some variations in there. Occasionally Zergs will do some opening where instead of Roach Ling, maybe they'll build very few, maybe no Roaches, and all Lings, and go Mutalisks. But even so, Zergs will eventually get the Infestation Pit, and then the Hive, and then Broodlords. Sure, there are some Zergs that will go for the Ultralisk transition instead of the Broodlords. I want to note that essentially all of these will be covered by CreatorPrime's style of play. So let's go ahead and talk about what the Protosses traditionally do. The Protosses will early expand, and then they will try to do something between 8 and 10 minutes. Those are big numbers that I want to stand out in your head, because if you watch pro games, I guess it could be between 7:30 and 10 minutes. Between the 7:30 and 10-minute mark, Protosses try to do something. Big Warp Gate attacks, big Stargate attacks, building a Robo and a bunch of gates and mounting a big attack, building 6 gateways and mounting a big attack, expanding. I've essentially listed about all of them, except, you know, some Dark Templar weird craziness, but that's about it. So in this period from 7:30 to 10, we do something. And right after that is when we start to get scared, because the Zerg player is going to be building a huge amount of Ling, Roach, and Fester doing annoyingness to us, maybe getting the Spire up. And that's when it's the onus is on the Protoss to defend adequately and get up some money mix to win the game. This is where I think the interesting aspects of the daily truly begin today. It's in that period where Protoss is getting his third base. He's maybe messed with the Zerg player a little bit. And it's time to decide what to do next. We have kind of a basic gateway army. We're getting a third. Ordinarily, Protosses instantly start the robotics facility. I'll even note the times in this daily. They instantly begin the robotics facility to start amassing as many Colossus as possible. That way they can have 3 or 4, 5 Colossus by 17 minutes, maybe by 16, and just blast the Zerg player down. We're not going to do that as CreatorPrime. Instead, we're going to be favoring a very mobile gateway army with lots of Blink Stalkers, with lots of Immortals and Sentries. And we're going to be following it up with Dark Templar to continue to be aggressive and to continue to be mobile. And at no point in the game are we ever going to invest in any sort of Colossus tech. It's a really, really, really cool way to play. I know a lot of people go Immortal, Sentry, Stalker, and that sort of thing, but we're going to see how it's different in this game. So I'm going to begin with this good old happy time game on Ohana. The next game we're going to look at is going to be on Atlantis Spaceship. And then in part number 3, in part number 3, we're going to look at a potential variation on this play. So we're going to have 3 games total today. The strategy itself is going to be in game number 1 and in game number 2 with a little bit of deviation. And then in game number 3, we're going to be examining what happens if you want to do something else. So we have the whole package today, and thank God these replays were up at gosugamers.net. God, there were so many good replays over there today. I mean, seriously, I'm going to have the dailies covered for a while now. So CreatorPrime goes ahead and asks if it's a best of 5. Let's go ahead and speed through the early part of the game. We're going to be building a pylon here. I'm not going to spend too much time, literally up until around 10 minutes. I'm not going to, or maybe 9 minutes. I'm not going to spend particularly much time. A double chrono boost. You know what? Let's go ahead and go to the creator cam because we don't want to get over obsessed with what Nerchio's doing. We're going to see an early expand. This is a Nexus first. I want to encourage you not to think of this as specifically Nexus first. It's not like a build. The concepts really begin at around 7 minutes and 30 seconds. If you need to build a forge, then a gateway, and then a nexus, that's fine. This still works. If you need to go, hell, forge, cannon, abandon the expansion, defend a 6 pool, then take the expansion later, this all still works. All still works. So, CreatorPrime is going to do some kind of early expand. This is 1, 17 nexus, 17 forge, 17 pylon. Boom. Boom! Boobs! And we see that there's actually not significant scouting at this point in the game. And we can clearly see why. CreatorPrime is actually just walling himself in. A 6 pool arrives shortly, but you can do re-wall offs. You can build a gateway here, you can build a gateway and a pylon there. Might be a little bit expensive. But the important thing to note is that it's a typical early expand. There's nothing out of the ordinary. This was actually a 14 pool by Nerchio. And we get the cybernetics core as fast as possible in the double gas. Everything is as by the book as possible. And if you're watching this and thinking, I don't do that, that's not by the book, then I strongly recommend going to gosugamers.net and downloading this replay and just sort of watching through it so you can steal the openings. And let me also note that I'm going to come over here. Where's my... On the new website, if you head on over to the new website at day9.tv, you can actually click on the daily, and it will have it embedded. See, here's the show that you're watching right now. This link right here eventually will transfer to the archives. Like if I go down here and like I do, I don't know, let's just do this Warp Prism style. Oh, God, I look weird. It will change to the embeds, and it will have the replay links at the bottom. So if you don't want to try to fish for them, then, yeah, you can go to day9.tv and just find this daily later on. Cool. Just so you have those links. Now, at this point in time, we see many Protoss players go Zealot Stalker to try to do damage early on. Fortunately, with this style of play, we're not relying on it too heavily. We're actually going all defensive. Just as a general timing, I'll pull it back to 5:30. We see CreatorPrime do this every game, and I'll say it, that he just goes gateway, or he goes warp gate and sentry, and then +1, in that order. Right when we start our Happy Time +1 upgrade, we get the extra assimilators down. Sentries are always good for holding off all-ins. This makes us very comfortable in the early stage of the game. And I'll go ahead and state some numbers right now. A lot of players will, at around now, is when players will either Robo, or they'll Stargate. Well, actually, they would have Stargated a little bit earlier, but either way, it's either Twilight, Stargate, Robo, or extra gateways. And often you'll see players build a lot of gateways and go for a big attack. 4 gateways you can consider to be a fairly defensive amount of gateways. There are some plays that involve getting 4 warp gates really fast and trying to do damage with zealots. And then, sometimes you do some damage, sometimes you don't. But even so, that is a defensive play, because you're messing with the Zerg so that way you can get some tech up. You're never going to be going to kill your opponent with 4 gateways. Just so I know. After we build our 3 gateways, we go for the Twilight Council. This is a pretty common structure. Some players will favor 5 warp gates here, but we're going to go ahead and state the number 4. This is a defensive play. And now the sentries will tickle the rocks down. They will tickle them to death. And now we have a robotics facility as well. Nothing but sentries popping out. In fact, when our warp gate's done, we even build a sentry with that. And with these warp gates being done, we build sentries with those. 1, 2 sentries. The important thing to note is that timing-wise, we are starting Blink, +2 ground attack, and starting a robotics facility. This is where I'm basically going to stop for a moment. These 4 structures, 4 gates and a robo, is considered the defensive way to quickly get a 3rd base. We go Immortals, and Stalkers, and Sentries, and we take a 4th. More specifically, we go Immortal Sentry, take the 3rd base, and then we start adding on the Stalkers. So this is actually being a little bit more aggressive, getting the Blink first, and we're actually getting the Robo facility a bit later. But we're going to see once again that this is quite flexible. The important aspect also is the +2. So we move out here, loud of sentries. And here it comes, bam, taking it out. There's our very first Stalker. And the Observer coming out to do this sort of scouting. Now, I'm going to go ahead and stop here for a moment. And what I'm going to do is come over here to the Zerg point of view. 9 minutes is about when his lair will finish. We actually see no Roach Warren started yet. I'm going to come back to the 6-minute mark from Nerchio's point of view and just show how quick this layer is, just so you have a sense of the relative timing of things. It's always important that we know our opponent's timing. 6 minutes is generally when he'll get his gas. He will start his layer as early as 7 minutes and 30 seconds. As early as that, but generally never any earlier. Generally never any earlier. So here we see Nerchio, 7:30 is around when as early as he'll start it. We started his at 7:50. Okay, that's great. Making nothing but drones, getting our 5 refineries up and whatnot. And as we stop here at 9 minutes, we see the layer ain't done. So from CreatorPrime's point of view, taking this expansion is quite important. Taking this expansion is, let me rephrase. The fact that we can take the expansion safely now is quite important. So yeah, we see Creator able to take this, and right now his opponent in the unit station, we see no roaches, no nothing. We've largely been chrono boosting our gateways, and now we're devoting chrono boost to this +2. Still not getting a lot of Immortals, leaving a sentry over here. And once again, we hit kind of a common spot where we're going to go for our double gateway, or we're going to go for some sort of gateway wall-off, and we're going to be going Immortal, Sentry, Stalker with Blink. Ordinarily, now that we have this 6th gateway down, ordinarily, our next step is to build a Robo. Right around now, right around 10 minutes is when the Robo generally gets built. Occasionally, you'll see players do something where they will build the robo, and when the robo finishes, then they'll start the nexus, and then they'll start the robo, and then, or excuse me, then they'll start the robo bay, and then they'll build both these things. But we're not going to see Creator do that. He's going to go for his more unique style. And a lot of people are probably asking, why is he not walling this area off? Over time, Protosses have come to the opinion that complete wall-offs are actually not so great. They're not so great against Zerg, Ling, Roach attacks. It's nice to be able to wall those off, but what's especially nice is when units are in here and you can force field to cut like this and kill off the units in this area. If you wall this off, your force fields lose usefulness. I see people talking in the chat about life bars. No, I don't turn on life bars. Aw, yeah.
I'm here in the shadows.
I specifically keep them off. You know it, baby. Look at me. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Yeah, life bars off. You know it. You know it. Alright, cool. Come on, turn on the health bars, Day 9. Turn it on. Everything's at full life. Oh, thank God. Oh, what a relief. Oh, I really needed to know that. Oh my God. Thank God the life bars are on now. Oh, I love data and information on the screen. Is there any chance instead of the daily you could show us a spreadsheet? God, I love spreadsheets. Okay, so I'm going to stop right now and address a question that a lot of people are asking. A lot of people are saying things right now like, why has CreatorPrime not scouted? I would say that there is exactly one error that is going on with CreatorPrime scouting, and that is that he has not checked up on a third base. That is the only thing that I could possibly define as an error. However, even then, I'm not that worried. Why is that? Okay, let's break it into categories. Before 8 minutes, what are we worried about? Ling all-ins, Baneling all-ins, Roach all-ins. We built only sentries. We have plenty of energy to be able to defend against that. The fact that Ohana has a thin ramp is very helpful. If we're playing on a map like Daybreak, we'll probably need to be doing a little more aggressive scouting just to make sure he's not doing one of those early attacks. Okay, from 7 minutes to 10 minutes, what are our threats? Well, still some more of those attacks, which are fine because we already have sentries up, but right around 10 minutes is about as early as he could have Mutalisks or Infestors. We already have the Observer up, we already have Blink Stalkers off. Cool. We don't need to really worry about that. And now as we're approaching 12 minutes, 3 base Mutalisk, 3 base Speed Roaches, 3 base Fast Infestor play starts to become a concern. So right now, we've literally seen CreatorPrime have an answer for everything, just with this simple Sentry into very fast Blink and delayed Immortal. Pretty significant to see these fast gassies up here. We have one Sentry that's gone ahead and force fielded down. And the fact that we haven't walled ourselves off gives us this mobility here. What's nice at this point in time is that rather than going for the robotics bay and beginning to stockpile Colossus, we see Creator add on more gateways. 2 more in the main. He's going up to 8, and he's going to add on yet more in a little bit. 9, 10 gateways. We also see a Dark Shrine here. Now, the classic mantra is when behind Dark Shrine, but he's not behind. But why, Day 9? Let me tell you with a rhyme. Okay, listen. This sort of style, you're going to see CreatorPrime begin to get really, really mobile. Right at the 12-minute mark is a fairly large divergence moment. For the Zerg player. He can either keep drilling into layer tech, or he can drill into hive tech. Here's the most important number you need to know. The most important number in the game. Or in Protoss vs. Zerg, at least. Anyone know what the most important number in Protoss vs. Zerg is? Come on, Protosses. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me. What's the most important number in Protoss vs. Zerg? Come on, come on. People are just saying numbers. They're just like, 11. 11's an important... 4. 4 minutes. 4 minutes is the amount of time it takes to start a hive until you get Broodlords done. And yes, 42 is the meaning of life, but 4 is the meaning of Protoss versus Zerg mid and late game. 4 minutes from the moment you start Hive to when you get the Broodlords out. So what does this mean? Right now, at the 12-minute mark, he's either going mass layer tech, Lingroach Infester, or he has just started to get his Hive and will have some tech up by 16 to 17 minutes. If you watch a lot of Zerg players losing right before they get Broodlords, I want you to just be aware. I want you to be aware that it happens between 16 and 17 minutes almost every time. So right now, Creator is going to move out and start getting mobile. Most Protosses are in super mega turtle mode at this point in time, but Creator has been building all these extra gateways. He's been going absolutely crazy. He hasn't built any more sentries than those he had at the start of the game. He's continuing to try to keep an eye on things. He's not scouting into a main base by any means. But he's just pyloning up, getting the Dark Shrine, adding on Immortals as quickly as he can, +3 attack as quickly as he can, and suddenly we're taking a 4th base at 13 minutes. Ordinarily, the Zerg player has only just now finished up his 4th bases. But the fact is, we can elect to do these mobile actions because we have this very mobile Blink Stalker Sentry Immortal Force. The Blink Stalkers being the most mobile of them all. Ever had that issue with the Colossus being really, really annoying to get around and dance between positions? You don't really have that with this army. Oops, and he lost his +3 attack before it ended up finishing. If you see a lot of Infestors in his army, this is generally a sign that he is going for a 16 to 17 minute Broodlord play. So right now, CreatorPrime has gotten that critical piece of information, and right now things are not actually all that complicated. Just going Infestor, just going Stalker, Sentry, Immortal, replenishing some as needed. If you need to build Zealots, that's fine too. We don't hate on Zealots. We're not going to be judgmental against them. But a lot of people are noticing right now that CreatorPrime is not attacking yet. He only really needs to attack so that it hits his opponent at 16, 1630 to really be ultra mega dangerous. And the fact that we have 10 gateways means that we can replenish aggressively. Really, really aggressively. These Dark Templar that we built are starting to make it so that we can warp in DTs. I'll actually show this because it was on the mini-map and I didn't really mention it, but speeding it up. Alright, cool. We can just warp in DTs to do harassment damage to expansions during this period from 12 to 16. Now, fortunately for us, and I did mean to say fortunately, Nerchio is attacking us right now, meaning that these DTs will be good. If he doesn't, if he's deciding to stay defensively placed with all his stuff, then we get aggressive with our army, and still we're allowed to whip out these Dark Templar and still be quite effective with them. And, last little caveat. Many people will say things like, okay, what if at the 1430 mark, he's trying to attack us? Oh crap, this part 1's been really long. Well, I guess we'll go on to part 2 right now, but I'll answer this last one. A lot of people will ask, well, what if he's building spores and spines everywhere, and now our Dark Templar can't really do anything? Well, if he's investing a lot of spores and spines right now, then he literally has no ability to put pressure on us at all. Because we have our hyper-mobile Blink Stalker Immortal Sentry army, we can just walk to wherever he's weakest and break that down. The architecture of most Zerg defenses at the 1430 mark is designed to be pretty much defensive. Pretty much a defensive thing, and if you just walk up there and judge any weakness, you can crush it. And also, a lot of Zergs nowadays are expecting the Protoss to be gearing up to go Colossi. So at 1430, what do you have? Small number of Colossi and small gateway army, or just a small gateway army. Most Zergs will be unprepared for a big gateway army. Cool. So we have a clear vulnerable point right now. And when we come back, we're going to finish up this game and we're going to watch a variation on this amazing style from CreatorPrime. Do 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 do.